Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Get a Fucking Life podcast. Today is a very special episode because it's the first episode I've ever done with a guest. And I'm so excited to welcome today's guest. His name is Ben. You may have come across his TikTok, The Trauma Corner. And I'm going to let him introduce himself because I'm sure he could do it way better than I can. Ben, why don't you take the floor?
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm Ben and Trauma Corner. I don't know where it came from. It was unintentional to start TikTok. I was like, oh, maybe I'll talk about parenting. And then I created it last year, and out of nowhere, it's just blown up because I talk about things that a lot of people went through but thought it was normal. So to sum it up, I help people who had bad childhoods and bad parents and maybe didn't fucking realize it until maybe they were called out. And then, and I help people one-to-one and I do my webinars. But Ben Trauma Corner, that's what they call me.
How have you found TikTok? Because I'm obsessed with TikTok and I am so grateful for the platform that it is giving me and also the growth that you can have on TikTok. And I see so many similarities with mine and your stories, not just in how you found manifestation, which we'll get onto in a minute, but also the fact that you were just doing your TikTok kind of secretively for a little while
Yeah.
and then people started to find it. I say I've got a Hannah Montana lifestyle. I've got this double life because I thought nobody was viewing me for such the longest time. Turns out I was coming up in everybody's feeds locally and I just
Yeah.
didn't realize it. So how did you find that? And also, I'd like to ask you, when people did start finding it, what made you persevere instead of like, oh no, people are seeing it, I need to stop?
People will judge you no matter what the fuck you do. Before I had TikTok, I had just started this company called RideSafe. It was like Uber, but designed around the safety of women. And I launched it for about a month, and then TikTok came out of nowhere, and I didn't have time to put into the business, which has now been taken over. I had a deal with this my taxi company. I had a deal with Asda where they would give us so many free period pads to put in the back of taxis every month. So for women who were irregular or caught on a night out, they can just take free period pads. And Wales Online did an article, and grown fucking women were in the comments ridiculing it. No matter what you do, people will judge you.
Even
If
if you're on
someone's
their
trying to
team.
bring, there we go. People will bring you, if people are trying to bring you down, logically speaking, it means they are below you. And they cannot allow your happiness before theirs. When I started TikTok, I started talking about my experience as a child. And I didn't put my name on the page. I didn't put it on my social media like Facebook or anything. I didn't sync any contacts because if I was talking about parenting, I didn't want to offend my parents and I was just parenting. I wasn't going to talk about fucking what they were going through. I was talking about my first video said our parents hate the fact that we are better parents because we are more accountable and we have access to more information, which I thought was about parenting. But looking back, it's about how our parents don't like us doing better or being happier at certain things than them. And again, no idea how TikTok worked. And my next door neighbor came out one day and he said, oh, me and my missus love watching your videos. Fuck. And then I remember having this notification of this girl I grew up with who lives a street in front of my mother, and she started following me. And I was like, it's a matter of time. And then I get a phone call, and I wasn't speaking directly about certain parents because half my followers are American. So if you didn't know me personally, you wouldn't know my father passed away in 2020.
Yeah.
So when I said, as a child, a parent did this, you wouldn't know who I was speaking about. So I wasn't directly calling out a parent, but that fucking parent phoned me and said, I've seen the videos of you slagging me off. We're done. That was it. That was the 2nd of March last year. And that's the last time I've heard of them. I had a phone call off the police a few weeks later because my videos were causing her distress, talking about the abuse she put me through. And I can't say it was her, but someone tried sabotaging all my seminars by phoning all the fucking venues and saying that what I was doing wasn't true. And it just fucking snowballed from there, I guess. And 95% of my family dropped off because I was talking about family.
Yeah, I can imagine. And especially given I think it's a human nature thing. We're not very programmed to take accountability straight away. So naturally they're going to want to defend it, repel it, reject it. So dealing with that on top of building the audience as well, how did you find that? Did it spur you along even further? Because that would make me think, well, fuck you, I'm going to carry on.
It's 50-50, I think. So my entire family tree is within like a 3-minute drive from my house. So at first there was so much anxiety of we all go to the same shop. And it's like, if I open my bedroom window and shout, 5, 6 family members would hear me, fucking not exaggerating. So I had a lot of anxiety of, if I go out, I'm going to see them. And before, I'm in Spain now, before we came here, I bumped into my mother in the street and she opened her mouth and said, "It's time to stop the lies, Ben. You've never been abused." Fucking nuts. And the family member that saw my videos and sent them to my mother was disgusted for me talking about her abuse, which was fucking wild. But I was talking about light stuff. Like, I was supposed to go to Disneyland with my grandmother and my auntie on a bus trip. And the day before, my mother found out that someone on the bus was dating my father. And she was like, "Yeah, he's not going." So I was just talking about light stuff. And then once this all came out and she phoned the police, I thought, who am I trying to protect? So I made a video. My mother found my TikToks. My mother phoned the police on me. It was, I wouldn't say motivation, but it was, I was trying to protect this false identity for so long, because oftentimes we're kids, we can't question what's right or wrong. So when our parents say, "I put a roof over your head, I sacrificed so much for you," you think, fuck, you must be a good parent. This must be a good childhood. So then you try and protect that, thinking because we are people pleasers to our parents, we're trying to live up to that identity that they create for us. So I kept making videos, and then the more people I saw it was healing, the more I've kept making them. And I guess when my mother texted me and said, "That's it, we're done," I sent this big paragraph. I said, "It's not about you, narcissist. When people watch my videos, they're not thinking of you and trying to have an image of you. They are going back to their lives and relating it to their own parents and their own experiences." So
like your mission, no, I don't think you even felt like it was a mission at the time. I think it was like you said, you stumbled across it, but that was the bigger picture and that was the bottom line. And you're like, I'm sure you say it, whose peace are you protecting? Keeping the peace within you. No, keeping the peace for them is disturbing the peace for you.
yeah.
And I think that's so true. And so you could have played small, kept the peace for the sake of, living dynamics, all those kind of things. But these thousands, I mean, hundreds of thousands now, people wouldn't be benefiting from your messages. I call your content mic drop content. The one I saw earlier, I think I commented on it actually. And at the end of it, you said, "If you don't agree with this question, then why are you watching my videos?" And I was like, "Oh, that's accurate."
A lot
So
of what I talk about
changing
is just,
thousands of people's lives every day.
thank it's a strange thing, right? If people comment, it can't say without sounding egotistical, but if there are 1,000 comments saying, "Ben, you've changed my life," I won't fucking believe it. But one person says, "This is not true," and I'm like, fuck, delete. Better delete this fucking account.
Human nature.
Because we always just focus on the negative. But yeah, it's been a wild fucking journey from creating a page, talk about parenting, to I was traveling Europe last year to do seminars. It was fucking wild how it's all happened, and now this is my job, doing like one-to-ones and TikTok. It's nuts, absolutely nuts.
You have had a crazy few years.
Yes, wild.
Like 4-year span, I think it is.
Yeah, 4 years exactly. This is why I'm so excited to share, I guess. I have a passion for healing, as fucking cringy as that sounds. And some of the stuff that I haven't told you is wild.
I can, from the stuff that I do know, compared to the stuff that I don't know, I can only imagine it's even more wild. How important do you think it is on the manifestation journey, success journey, life journey, whatever you want to call it, to heal our inner child, or at least attempt to shed awareness on it? Because I know probably from my experience with clients more so than with myself, because I've always been a naturally self-aware kid, self-aware adult, whatever. And so I'm a self-help addict. I want to shine the light on it. I want to get rid of it, to the point where it was almost like a perfectionism addiction at one point. And I've realized that's the other side of this kind of stuff. But with clients, and especially, and my followers, sometimes we don't want to look at that. No, I'm fine. I've dealt with it. We don't want to look at that. I've buried it. I think Jojo Siwa did an interview the other day and she said, "I'm not having therapy because I'm good at bottling up." And I was like, girl, no, no, it's going to come out. So how important do you think on people's journeys is it to, not sit in this and dwell on it, but just start to say, come on, let's get through this?
I think firstly, you said about self-help, and when I consciously started this journey in 2020, and again, I've always been aware it's been a blessing and a curse. It's something that's we've had to be, I guess. We had to pick up on so much different emotions as kids. My self-help journey, when I started reading, I couldn't stop. And I couldn't stop. I was reading like 50 or 60 books in a year. And at some point I thought, if I keep reaching or keep searching for a new self-help book, I'm telling myself that something is broken and there's something that needs fixing, rather than having the gratitude for what I have healed.
Yeah.
When it comes to manifestation, more in particular, like more specifically rather, affirmations. As kids, we have these underlying emotions. If you are made to feel like a piece of shit, if you're made to feel like a burden, that becomes this default state of feeling. So if as an adult, we write on a piece of paper, I'm rich, I'm wealthy, money flows into my life, but we feel undeserving of any type of fucking success, then the best explanation I heard was the universe is deaf, it doesn't hear what you say, it just feels the energy and gives it back. So if you keep saying, yeah, yes, I loved it. If you keep saying, I'm rich, but deep down you feel like it's so far out of your comfort zone to be just peaceful, never mind successful mentally or happy, then your energy that you're giving off is not matching it. So I think this whole journey is about discovering who the fuck you are by diving into who you think you are, because your past is not who you are, it's who you were. And we have to pick that apart to discover what's underneath.
Yeah.
Our parents treat us as extensions of them oftentimes. And this may not apply for everyone if you've had good parents, fucking lucky you. But they treat us as an extension of them. And we have to live up to that identity, which just takes away our authenticity. Some of us have to be the third parent to our siblings. Some of us our parents live perception first. What are other people going to think? How are people going to judge you? You can't do this because what are people going to say about you? And we have no idea who the fuck we are. So unpacking our childhood will help us have a clean slate to figure out who we are, to work on it. It's very exciting. If you don't know who you are, it's very exciting because to figure that out, you can explore yourself through the world or explore the world through yourself. For example, I was a kid. I was told, Ben, I'm not buying you Lego for it to be sat on a shelf. I don't know how far you scroll back in my videos, but when I'm back home in the UK, there's Lego and nerdy shit fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
So we do things that we would have loved to do. We have our childhood now to help heal that part of us and help us understand who we are.
I think as well as kids, we don't form that rational thinking until a certain age. And, I had a lot of love as a kid, but still as a kid, you're going to feel certain ways about certain things that aren't necessarily true, depending on how your perception is at the time. And a lot of the work I do with my clients is going back in and reframing that perception, because we grow up with that. We don't let go of that child perception until we actively start to change it. And so something that you may have felt as a kid, like it may not have even been true then, and it definitely isn't true now. And so I am massive on helping my clients with that, and I think you are too.
Mm-hmm. There's two things there. We have these beliefs. When we're kids, we just absorb all the information and they become core beliefs. If we have a bad childhood, a lot of it, as an adult, we think, yeah, I love my parents. Of course I do, they're my parents. And then I will ask my clients why. And they're like, because it's such a core belief as a kid, we never have to question it until someone does. And the other part is, for example, as a kid, so my parents split up when I was 2, and I'd see my father maybe once a year, and he would be drunk and threatening to kill me. I was fucking terrified of him. And I had that locked away. He was such a scary person. When I was living with him briefly when I was 21, I was on steroids. I was fighting, I wouldn't say professionally, but I was boxing in the gym. I was strong and I was about that much taller than my father. And I would wash the dishes and he'd stand behind me, tell me I'm doing them wrong. And I'd be fucking petrified. And I broke down crying, looked down to him and said, I could beat you up very easily, but I am terrified of doing anything wrong by you. Because I'd never revisited that core belief that this man is a monster. As I looked down on him, insane. But we also have these beliefs, these core beliefs that are just false until we revisit them. So diving into your childhood allows us to revisit them with these certain questions that you can ask yourself.
I think it completely changed the narrative. And I think instead of saying 50,000 affirmations about something, like you said about money or I am this, I am that, just reframing that simple false belief that you've picked up can absolutely just, it's almost like the veil was lifted overnight. That's how it felt for me personally. When I changed like some of my core things that I'd taken away, I was like, wow, that was bullshit all along. That what a waste of energy that was. Like what a waste in my 20s that was to believe this or believe that. And I know my clients feel it as
Yeah.
well, and followers and everything.
Dr. Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yeah.
One thing when it comes to manifesting that I have to thank my mother for, because again, when we're kids, we just believe what our parents say. And she would always tell me, you fall in shit and come out smelling of roses, Ben. So whenever I get in a bad time, she'd say, you fall in shit and you come out smelling of roses. She would say it in a jealous way. And I believed it because we believe what our parents say.
Yeah.
So I think subconsciously, I've always had this belief that when it gets bad, it'll always get better because I've always fallen in shit, but I come out smelling of roses. So something I have to thank her for.
I think it's crazy what we pick up as kids. I mean, my family had this belief that money always comes around. Money always comes around. So even when I've been in a like, oh my God, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to do this? I'm like, no, money always comes around. Money always comes around. And so there are so many things that you can take away from childhood as well that isn't always going
Yeah.
to be the negatives as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I say with my clients. I'm not sure about you, but it's like a lot of the times it's not even about going back in and just having like a parent bashing contest, or it's not about that kind of let me go and feel shit for now while I have some therapy. It's really about just pruning that garden and getting the weeds out, I think.
Yeah, of course.
So one other similarity that I think we've had is I found the law of attraction through the book The Secret after my grandma had passed away, and I know you found it after your grandpa had passed away. How did that transform your mindset and push you into manifestation?
So 2020, and this, I guess I have to give a trigger warning because it goes quite graphic. 2020, Friday the 13th. And it just fucking going off on you. My grandfather always said, luck is what you make it. I don't know if that's a common fucking term because my wife have never heard it. Luck is what you make it. And Friday the 13th, he died. So I don't know if there was a fucking something in there. Friday the 13th, I get a phone call that he had collapsed he lived around the corner. He had collapsed in the bathroom against the door, and my grandmother couldn't get in because he was heavy. So I got there, run around the back window, and he was like shaking. And I was like, fuck, he's okay. He's having a seizure. And then I shouted to my grandmother, I was like, he's okay. And she stopped shaking the door, and then he stopped. So I was like, oh, fuck. They realized that he wasn't. She was just shaking the door. But I was immediately calm. I knew he wasn't in his body, but I was immediately calm. And long story short, he died. He was dead. And then I had really bad flashbacks for about 5 months. So that was he passed in March, and then in August, I get a phone call off my father, and we'd argued at the time, so I didn't answer it. And then he went to voicemail, and I picked up the voicemail, sat on the dining table with my wife, and I said, "Listen, now it's him saying he's sorry, and let's make up." So I pressed play, and it was his next door neighbor screaming. She was like, "Dad's dead. Come down quick." Like, oh fuck. And in between both of them dying, my wife had just got pregnant with our first child. So, and I didn't tell my father. So we were I was in a black hole and I didn't know how to get out. So I started reading. I had time off work because I was fucked. I picked up 3 books. One was called Just Fucking Do It by Noor Hibbert. I picked up that just to improve my mindset. One was called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I thought, oh, I'll learn about money. That'll fucking help me because I have nothing. And then the other one was The Law of Attraction, The Teachings of Abraham by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And I thought, I sort of know about the law of attraction. Maybe it'll give me a little insight into spirituality. The 3 books were about the law of attraction. And I thought, as I was halfway through the third, I thought, fuck, this is maybe a sign. So I just kept reading. And several years before, I remember I was working for Amazon delivering. And one day the radio kept fucking speaking to me. And I can't fucking put into words, but everything I was thinking, the radio would answer me. I remember this is not exact, but it's the way I can describe it. I had a parcel for someone, something heaven. And I got out of the car, knocked on the door, no answer. I get back in the car, radio on, and it was knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Fucking Guns N' Roses, actually. Well, that's just things like that all day. And then it got so I genuinely thought my friends were pranking me. And I came up to this roundabout and I said, right, if someone is doing this, someone above, I said, give me a sign. Stop at the roundabout. There's a big billboard, and all it said was, "Are you reading the signs?" I was like, "What the fuck do I do with this information?" So I started reading. I read. The Secret is the last one I read. I started reading Vex King, Good Vibes, Good Life, loads of different fucking books on manifesting and spirituality and consciousness, and then I started putting it into practice. First of all, it sounded like a cult. These books were like, write down on a piece of paper what you want to come true, and it'll come true. I thought, shut the fuck up. But I tried it. These books were like, you have to write it down. The power of pen to paper. And first of all, I was like, I'm sat at the garden. I'm not going to go into the house, find a pen, find paper, come back out to write it down just to read it back out of my mind. But I did it and fucking worked. So, do you mean to keep going in the story?
Keep going. I love this.
So,
I'm like, do you know how hard it is to find manifesting friends?
yes.
I love
Yes.
this. And I want my audience to know they're not alone in this. I've got a few TikTok videos where I talk about manifestation will make you feel batshit crazy. You're going to feel like a weirdo, especially if no one in your circle is doing it. I remember walking into school at 15 with a secret, like showing my friends, like, look, this book says you can think it and it will happen. They were like, shut up. We're doing our GCSE.
I was 25 when I started it, so to have that at 15 is fucking. So I had £200 in the bank, and I was like, right, I have £1,000. I have £1,000. I have £1,000. I was reading Good Vibes, Good Life by Vex King, and I kept saying I have £1,000. I'd write it down. 3 days go by, and it was in COVID, so I had an email of the government saying I was a personal trainer. I had an email saying, because you're out of work during COVID and your class is self-employed, you're entitled to a grant of £1,046. I was like, that's a coincidence. It's £46 more. It must be a coincidence. It's just the fucking right timing. And then I'd be like, right, I'll try and manifest a car. So I'd manifest this fucking Audi outside my house. And the next day I'd open the window and the exact Audi would be outside my house. And I thought, this is fucking strange. Like that car has never been outside my house. I'd keep having it. And then I thought, right, take it up a notch. And every morning I would sit on the dining table. I'd have a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and I'd listen to What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong with around £1,000 in my bank. And I didn't mean to do it for 2 weeks, but it ended up being 2 weeks. I'd close my eyes, listening to the song, drinking my tea. And there was this house for sale about half an hour away from me. I didn't get the house. And it was £950,000. It was 3 stories overlooking the sea. And I would imagine, I'd look at the photos of it for sale, and one of the photos was the balcony looking at the sea. And I'd imagine that I had the same tea, same song, but on the balcony. And I just thought, fucking, just go for it. I was working in Asda. I was a massage therapist and I was a personal trainer. And I'm still fucking skint, broke. I went to a client's house for a massage. And at the end, they were like, it was a couple, they were like, great, can you come visit us every 2 weeks? In December, we move in house. I was like, yeah, no problem. Where? And they told me the area. And I was like, oh, fuck, I've been looking at houses down there, dreaming. And I said, one of them's 950,000. They went, yeah, that's it. And they showed me. And it was the same fucking house, the house. So I tried to explain that I've been manifesting it, and they looked at me like I was batshit crazy. But in the manifestation, I never had the keys to the house. When I would imagine the car outside, I never had the keys to the car. I was just there. The car was just there, and I was just in the house. So to be in the exact same house, I thought this cannot be a coincidence. I think when you start manifesting, I'll get further into it. It gets better. When you start manifesting, it's very fucking easy. Once you see it happen, you think, fuck, do I create my own reality? Is this just fucking simulation? It's so fucking easy. And because it keeps flowing into your life. And I was starting to write my affirmations, and I would write 10 affirmations. I'd write 5 that were true and 5 that I want to come true, mix them up. And the 5 that I want to come true, I'd write them as if it was already true. I'm Bankwell Edwards, I'm successful, money flows into my life, I have a Range Rover Sport, I have this. And then in November 2020, I think it was £6,000 in the bank. And I wrote, I make £50,000, I make £60,000 this year. And I don't know how it worked. I think it must have just been my overall fucking frequency, because I didn't really believe it. I thought there's a few weeks left in the year, I'm not going to make £60,000. And something told me to download this trading platform. I was like, okay, downloaded the app. And on this app, they had never invested in my fucking life. On this app, it had top winners and top losers section. So I was like, right, click top winners. On the top was this penny stock, and it was up 91% in the day. So it almost fucking doubled. And I was like, oh, if I put £6,000 in this, I would have had fucking double that by the end of the day. That's nuts, which is a bad investment. But I had no idea. So I invested. And then the stock market closed Christmas Day. I had £250,000. Blew my fucking mind. And then it would like go down 50 grand, go up 50 grand. And then April 2021, I had been friends with this guy for about 3 or 4 months online on Twitter, talking about investments and all this. And he had this new fucking cryptocurrency that he had like insight into. This is gonna launch, Ben. I'll give you early access, all this, you can just promote it. I was like, yeah, great, awesome. He said it should do X amount in the first fucking day or the first week. And the month prior to this, I had changed my background on my phone to a quote that just said, I'm a millionaire. So every day I would, fucking several times a day, I'd unlock my phone until I would just subconsciously read to myself, I'm a millionaire, every time. So I wanted to be a millionaire. And he said, I'll do this amount. So I thought, right, to be a millionaire, I need to put £10,000 in. So I put £10,000 in, and believe this or not, 45 seconds later, I went over 1 million. And I thought, right, I'll give a quarter of an hour, I'll take 6 million out, leave the rest in. So I was just watching the money go up. And then had a break, a couple of minutes, and it was literally, this all happened within about 10 minutes. I opened it up and the money had dropped. It was like 300,000. I thought, fuck, it's going to go back up. 100,000. And then I put 10 in and I went down to 9,000. And the guy who told me about it he had just built my trust and then just scammed fucking everyone. I put 10 in, I came out with 21. And then I had quit the 3 jobs I was working. We just had our first child a few months before. And I thought, if I lose all this money, I am not going to be able to give my daughter the life that I promised her. And I'm not going to have to go back to work. And I'm not going to be able to, there would be days where I would make fucking £80,000 and I would have to go back to my old jobs. I wouldn't be able to do it fucking mentally. Excuse me. So I put my focus on the loss of money. And for the next, maybe, I would say maybe a year, just under a year, I lost it all. It would come down, it would go up, it come down. And what I done, I took £40,000 out and I bought a Range Rover Sport. And I loved it. And then I saw my investments come down. And I thought, I tell you what, I will sell my Range Rover and reinvest the money. And then it'll go up, and then I'll just take it back out and buy another Range Rover. And I sold the Range Rover, invested it, the money went up within a couple of days, and then it all went back down. And I think I put 30,000, my last 30,000 into an investment. And when I took it out a few months later, it was £700. And for around 6 months, I would say, we were on benefits. We had had our second child. I still hadn't recovered from my grandfather and father. It was just, the money was a distraction.
Yeah.
We couldn't really fucking spend it because we couldn't travel because of COVID. So when that hit, when the money had gone, the grief fucking hit me, and that I couldn't provide for my kids. I struggled to leave the house. I just thought, it was just fucking too much, essentially. And I couldn't manifest. I couldn't get back into affirmations because I couldn't fully fucking believe in it again. And
Almost resentful of it.
sorry, yeah, exactly, yeah. I thought, because when I was focusing on, no, the money's going to come back, the money's going to come back, I was only, even if it was subconsciously, focusing on the money disappearing.
Universe is death. It's just feeling.
Yes. So
I'm skin. Universe, I'm skin.
what I did in end of 2022, I said to my wife, because with the universe you have to forget about the how. So I said to my wife, we're going to go to Spain, we're going to do 3 months, we're going to figure out where we want to live, we're going to have this amount of money, we're going to do all this. And my wife was like, how? We have no fucking income, we're counting, I can't do a fucking full food shop unless we count the money. How? And I was like, you need to forget about the how. And she's like, I can't, Ben, that's just fucking logical. So I had a chat with my wife, I said, I need you to be passively, just like emotionally passive. No, just even if you're feeling negative, don't push it on me because I'll fucking absorb it. And I said, just 40 minutes to an hour every night, 8 o'clock, I'll go upstairs and I do like 5 minutes manifest and 5 minutes affirmations, 5 minutes reading over my affirmations in the mirror. And then I do like 5 minutes visualizing me in a fucking Ferrari showing my friends. And then I would just meditate for 30, 40 minutes. Sometimes I wouldn't do the meditation. And one of the affirmations was, I don't know why I wrote it, people can't stop giving me money. Didn't know where it was going to fucking come from. People can't stop giving me money. And we had just got married, so I thought maybe that's where the money, that's where it was. People give us fucking wedding money. People can't stop giving me money. And then fast forward, that was right at the end, November, December 2022. 2023, I randomly created a TikTok account. Fast forward 2 or 3 months, I was working with a client to deal with their fucking childhood, and I turned a page to write new notes, and in the middle of my notebook were my affirmations. And at the top it said, people can't stop giving me money. And this was like client 4 out of 8 for the day. And when I started writing, I was inundated with clients. And when I started writing, people can't stop giving me money. I didn't have TikTok. So I wrote it randomly, started a TikTok account, and then we're in Spain. It's insane to think about. And stuff now, I guess I wouldn't talk about this like present, not the manifestations, but things that are falling into place, which I will eventually fucking talk about. But
Of course.
you do sound delusional.
Oh, batshit.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I was the same a few years ago. I was like, I'm gonna start this TikTok, and then I realized like I don't think people believe me, so I was like, that's why I did it in secret. I was like, no, I'm just gonna show them, and if it does fail, then they won't have known anyway. So they'll never know. But I was like, no, I could see the power of TikTok. So I was a little bit different to you because I could see that my business could grow, and that's why I did create the business TikTok. But I was like, nah, just give me a year, just let me show you. But yours is just, I mean, just for the scope for everyone listening or watching. So this is the start of last year you created your TikTok. You're now sitting on what, like 500,000 nearly? Or you over that?
TikTok is 550. Instagram I created in December, and it was
That's insane. I checked that this morning. It's 190.
178. Nuts.
That's crazy.
Nuts. I don't really. It's strange. I don't say I don't believe it because it's there. Like, but like I put a video up about Disney, about this Disney hug thing, and like the Kristen Bell who plays Anna in Frozen, my kids fucking love. She liked it, and like people from Star Wars are like it. It's nuts. And I think it's I love what I do. I'm going to keep doing it, but I think it's a stepping stone to a lot bigger too.
Where would you like to go without like going too far into your boundaries?
No, I'll put it out there. I don't think a lot of people say don't share your. I don't believe that. TV.
Yeah, same.
Whether I am a fucking guest judge on Married at First Sight, or whether someone wants to give me my own fucking show. I want to be I want to be I don't know. I'd love, so like I have that part of me which wants to just help people as much as I can, but I'm a big nerd, so I'd love to just fucking sit and interview fucking Marvel actors.
I love that.
And something, again, I won't get into it, but something that's maybe after the call, I'll tell you. Something that's lining up now is that fucking direction.
Love that.
Can't wait.
I love that. And that's in such, I mean, it's weird because I've just started a new program called the 2 weeks Self Concept Challenge, because I want people to know, like you said, you like in 2 weeks, you're just gonna commit 2 weeks, you can change. But at the same time, I'm also like, let it marinate. So I live between those two, like let it marinate, let it take time. You know, it takes 9 months to make a baby, things take time, but then I'm also like, it can change fucking fast. So I live between them two parallels.
You said, I'm gonna start TikTok, give me a year. But what if you believe that it'll take a week?
Oh yeah, honestly, when I actually sat down and started scripting, I have this amount of followers. That happened within 2 weeks. When I started, I mean, for the first 6 months, I was just getting the practice of putting videos out and finding my flavor, finding what I want to talk about. But then when I was like, no, I'm moving to Ibiza in a few months. I need to like, this needs to start generating now. And yeah, it all changed so fast. And it is that belief of how long are you going to give it? And sometimes not putting a time frame on it is actually the best thing you can do, because you just set yourself off them limits.
There's so much I guess we could talk about another time about time itself.
Yeah.
And if you are that fucking spiritual, what is fucking time?
I love the quantum physics side of things. The time doesn't exist. But like you said, it's like a whole other podcast episode. One thing I want to touch on as well, what I heard you say there as well is that you kind of, without saying it, which I feel like is what TikTok did for me as well, because I lost my best friend 2 years ago and I was in a grief hole and I was in despair. I have PTSD as well from it. Like my phone has been on Do Not Disturb for the past 2.5 years because I hate random phone calls in case they're bad news. And, you know, had a string of deaths that year. And I heard Tony Robbins say one day, grief leaves a void and you can fill it with love, or you can fill it with more grief and sadness. And what TikTok did for me in that business focus was allow me to transmute that energy that I'd been sat in and actually put it to good use. Like, even though I wasn't in a place where I felt like I could help myself, I knew I could help other people. And so that's like the other biggest similarity I see between me and you, because I feel like the TikTok probably really helped your grief as well.
Mm-hmm. You can't appreciate the highs if you don't experience the lows. When I was 15, I lost a close friend of mine, and then when I was 18, I lost another. We were best friends. He tattooed my finger, and it shit like this stays with you. I think I don't want to go back to Marvel, but in a part of Marvel, they say, "What is grief if not love persevering?" And in one of my books, I wrote a quote from Interstellar, which is my favorite fucking film of all time. And they talk about love in there, and they say that love is something that we don't understand. I'm paraphrasing. Love is something that we don't understand. One of the characters wants to travel across the galaxy to see someone she doesn't know if they're dead or not. So love is not something that we can measure. It's something that we do not understand that connects people.
I love
So yeah,
that.
we change the energy. We again, it doesn't leave us grief, but we change our perspective. So for me, just briefly, when my grandfather and father died, I couldn't listen to songs they liked, I couldn't look at their photos without bursting into fucking tears. And I was the exact same with fucking phone calls. Just before my father died, he was arrested, and I had a phone call at, I think it was just 11:30 in the night. I won't get into it, but and then my grandmother, your grandfather's collapsed. Can you come over? And then that was like fucking 2 years before, and then another phone call, your grandpa's collapsed. So exactly the same about fucking phone calls. But when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I would listen to music that my grandfather and father liked as if they were listening with me. Or I would go on walks that they used to take as if they were looking through my eyes. And I was not so much sad that they weren't in my life, but happy that they were. And the experiences that I have them. So I'm grateful for those experiences that I have. So it's that.
I think that's beautiful.
Thanks.
And I think not many people, I mean, for obvious reasons, it is a trigger point, it is a hard subject, but I want to get more comfortable around the conversations around grief, which I'm probably just at the point where I'm able to do that myself anyway. But I think a lot of people out there, whether it's in the past or whether it's present, can benefit from these type of conversations. So I really, really appreciate you sharing it with us today.
Thank you.
You mentioned that you had your routine, shutting the world out, 8 o'clock comes on, we're going to do our affirmations, meditating. Do you still do that now, or is your manifestation routine different now? What are you doing daily now to manifest all these big things?
Oh, this I guess is quite interesting. When I started it, we had a baby. When I started doing the manifesting like that, we had a baby. Now we got three of the fuckers. So for me to have,
Busy boy.
I've got a three, and my daughter's 3. My son is 2 next month, and then the baby is 6 months old.
Wow.
So for me to this is me time. This podcast. I went to the gym this morning. I'm a haircut, which was like I felt so that was so much time for myself. So my manifesting is different now. It's excuse me. It's never Goddard. It's a couple of minutes before bed. It's just a couple of seconds. Just I won't give you specifics, but it's a couple of seconds of, I wouldn't even say the end goal, but I have a goal in mind for when we get back to the UK, of a vision that I have, and I will repeat that. But when it comes to, before we came out here, I would do my affirmations every morning. But then it got to the point where I was doing them to manifest and not doing it because I enjoyed it, which was telling the universe that I want more.
Yeah, it's that need state.
Yeah. So
And
when
you can
I
trick the universe sometimes, and you're trying to say like 50,000 affirmations, trying to trick the universe. The universe knows, like it knows.
yeah. So I think once we live in that end goal of it's here, then it comes because it has to.
I love that. And you've just kind of put into place as well. You're doing the SATs method every night, I take it. And like you said, a few minutes before bed, if you can't do all the things that the gurus tell you online, me included, like creators online, like myself, who are saying, do this, do that, just take that five minutes before bed, program your subconscious mind.
And sometimes it's not even 5 minutes. And sometimes I lay down in bed to do it and I fall asleep because
Go to sleep straight away,
I've got 3 fucking kids. But as long as we have that, if you can do fucking 30 seconds, I saw a creator, I'm not sure their name, and she's a coach for celebrity manifesting clients or something along those lines. And she talks about just 2 seconds, and you have this 2 second fucking video in your mind that repeats. If you want a new car, it's you getting in the car and closing the door and looking at the steering wheel, just repeating that. And if that's fucking 30 seconds, you've done it 15 times. Quick maths. So we have time.
We have time. I love that. I think that is a perfect place to wrap this interview up. Is there anything else you would like to say on manifestation or what you do? I would love for you to share with my audience where they can find you and your products, anything you want to share, podcast, anything.
Nice. I don't think at the moment there's anything to share. You can find me just Ben Trauma Corner or at Ben Cole Edwards. And you'll find me talking about bad childhoods and how to heal from it. Thank you so much for having me.
If there is one thing that you'd want my audience, your audience, the world to know, what would it be?
There was this quote, I don't know where it came from, but I read it in Think Like a Monk t-shirt. And it says, I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. Which means we live in a perception of ourselves. And it's such a fucking thing. Sorry, it's such a fucking thing to get into.
No, it's fine.
We live in a perception of ourselves. I'm not who I think I am. When I used to take steroids, and I would take them 7 weeks before a holiday to look better in photos. And I'm not who I think I am. I'm not this person who is in better shape on holiday. I'm not who you think I am, because you don't view me as, oh, Ben is in good shape and he's on holiday and he's in good shape because he's a personal trainer. I am who I think you think I am. So I think that you're expecting me to be in good shape. So I'm living up to my perception of your perception of me, which is false.
Yeah.
So take from that what you will.
I think in the day and age of social media, which I know we are both social media platforms, but I think that's an important message because we live through the eyes of our phone and there was something I read a few months ago, which is like, are you creating or are you curating the moment? So, are you generally just taking a picture or are you trying to make a moment out of the picture for your Instagram feed?
Yeah.
So I think that ties in beautifully. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'm so excited to see everything you do in the future. And I can't wait to finish this and end this recording so I can hear about what you're manifesting.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.